Again, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Meron po akong couple of questions to start off our sermon sa family series, and gusto ko po mag-isip ko po kayo ng malalim about the following questions that I would like to ask. Una-una, have you recently had an argument? Yes. Pastor, medyo marami yata. I think parang sa dami ng staff mo, talagang hindi mo mawala, no? Have you recently had an argument? Naalala niyo po ba? What was it about? Was it something trivial or major? Maliit na bagay ba to o parang feeling nyo, ano lang naman, hindi dapat pinag-uusapan? Now, let me ask another question that may feel like a step away from my previous question. Do you know what a poplar tree is? Alam niyo po ba yung poplar tree? So, hindi niyo po alam yung poplar tree. Ito po yung poplar tree. Napaka-ordinaryo pong puno to. It's a deciduous tree na hindi po siya namumunga namumunga po siya, bulaklak lang, wala po siyang prutas. But would you believe, ito pong puno sa likod natin, that an ordinary poplar tree almost triggered the Second Korean War. Let me explain. Kwento ko po sa inyo. The thing that made this tree special is that it sits near a bridge called Point of No Return. Ito yung tulay na po yun. If you could see on the left side, yung punong poplar tree po, nakatanim po siya between the borders of North and South Korea at meron pong tulay doon, pangalan niya is a Bridge of No Return. Now, standing 40 foot tall, etong pong puno to, binablock niya po yung view ng observation post ng South Korean papunta do sa Bridge of No Return. So in short, pag nakatingin ka, yung punong yon in its full bloom, standing at 40 foot, hindi mo makita yung kabilang side, hindi mo alam kung ano nangyayari. So, year after year, when the tree is in full bloom, pag marami na pong mga branches to, soldiers from the South Korea would go down at ipuprune po nila yung puno at wala pong nagiging problema taon-taon. Until August 18, 1976. A pruning team, isang team po ng nagpuputol po ng puno, kasama po dalawang American officers at 11 Korean personnel, routinely po pinuputol nila po yung mga branches ng puno kasi nga nagbablock po dun sa view. And out of nowhere, may dumating pong truck. Meron pong dumating ng truck na mga tiga North Korean, bumaba po sila at pinatigil po silang i-prune yung puno. Ganito po yung nangyari. Sabi pong gano'n ng North Korean lieutenant, sabi niya gano'n, itigil niyong tabasan, mag-prune yung punong yan, kung hindi, magkakagulo tayo. An American officer, si Captain Boniface, the team leader, inignore niya po yung sinabi nung lieutenant na to at tumalikod po siya habang tinitrim yung puno. It was that time, Senior Lieutenant Park Chul, yung nickname Lieutenant Bulldog, kaya po nickname niya Bulldog kasi mahilig po siya sa confrontation. Ang ginawa niya po tinanggal niya yung relos niya, kinuha niya yung panyo niya, binalot niya yung relos sa panyo niya, binulsa niya yung relos, tinupi niya yung sleeve niya, at sinabi niya dun sa mga kasama niyang mga sundalo, patayin niyo silang lahat. On that day, 2 American officers died, and 11 UN soldiers were badly beaten with axe, clubs. And ito po, this was all recorded in pictures, kaya may pictures po tayo, and video, which the world watched in horror. Pwede nyo po i-google yan, makikita nyo po yan. Yung axe murder. The following day, upon hearing the horrible news, nung presidente nung time na po yun was si US President Gerald Ford, tinanong niya po yung state secretary niya, which is si Henry Kissinger nung panahon na yun. Sabi niya gano'n, ano ba gagawin natin dito sa sitwasyong to? Sabi ni State Henry Kissinger, Sir, Mr. President, the only option na dapat natin gawin bombahin natin ng North Korea. hindi maaring walang dugong kakalat dahil may namatay na 2 sundalong Amerikano. Although President Ford dismissed the advice to bomb North Korea, he decided that the tree in question, yung poplar tree, kailangang maputol para matapos na ang pinag-aawayan nila. So in the morning of August 21, 1976 on the screen, ito po, 110 troops, 64 of whom were Korean Taekwondo experts. So nagpadala sila ng mga sundalo at 60 Taekwondo expert na mga Koreano. Handang-handa na po sila this time. A handful came armed with chainsaws at kung ano-ano pong gamit para putulin yung puno na yon. Ito pa, idadagdag ko. Swarming above and standing ready habang nagaganap po itong pagpuputol ng puno were 27 helicopters on the screen. Would you believe? Dahil sa isang puno. 27 helicopters. A number of F-4 Phantom fighters. F-11 jet fighters. And ito pa, may 3 B-52 bombers na umiikot sa paligid. At may mga naka-standby na 300 well-armed soldiers on the ground. For what reason? Para i-prune ang isang poplar tree. Alam niyo po ba, it only required 42 minutes para i-trim yung puno and 3 minutes longer than estimated. Soldiers standing on the 6-foot-long section of the trunk marked the position of the axe murder. And ito po, in 1987, a bronze plaque was put in its place on the screen. Alam niyo po, na-realize nila na katawa-tawa po pala itong mga nangyari. Church, this story is a classic example of a lack of open communication. What happened between 2 nations also happened every day in our homes. Do you agree? Alam niyo, yung maliliit na bagay lang. Bakit yan ang suot mo? Yan ang susuot mo, lalabas ka, yan ang suot mo. Small things. Ha? Sa bahay, meron ng World War III. It happens every day in the smallest and probably most, parang sabihin natin, mga walang kabagay-bagay lang na mga pagtatalo. Pero ang tanong, in our family series, what do we do to prevent a world war in our families? Ano ba kailangan natin gawin? The title of our message is, When We Don't See Eye to Eye. Patuloy po itong series natin ng family on how we want to explore family and paano ba natin i-improve yung communication natin sa pamilya. Ang text po natin ay matatagpuan po sa Ruth chapter 1, verse 8 hanggang 10, and then 16 to 18. So can I ask everyone to stand up with me as we read the Word of God? Ito pong portion na po to is where Pastor Jerry left off nung nakarang linggo. In verse 8, ito po sinabi, Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husband and to me. So talaga yung conversation po, medyo may iyakan. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in home of another husband. Then she kissed them goodbye and they wept aloud. And in verse 10 sabi, and said to her, we will go back with you to your family. Jumping to verse 16, sabi nga doon, but Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. And ito yung mga famous lines. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it so severely, if death separates you and me. And in verse 18, to cap it up, when Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Thank you, God. Bless the reading of the Word. Makakapo po tayo. A short background there po about the book of Ruth. Alam niyo po, there are 3 spiritual highlights of the book of Ruth. First po, ang book of Ruth is the story of providence. Partly po na-discuss to ni Pastor Jerry na si Lord, in our life of doing decisions, making decisions, He is always providential. Palagi siya nagpo-provide. Pangalawa, this book is about conversion. Kasi po si isang Moabite, si Ruth, naging isa po siyang mananampalataya, kalinya ng mga Hudyo. At pangatlo po, redemption, which is part 2 po ng sermon ko na pag-usapan natin sa susunod na linggo. Pero today's message is about providence. It's how God's caring provision guides us in our journey of faith through life. Yun po yung providence. So that ma-accomplish yung purpose niya, even if sometimes we don't see eye to eye with God, or even if we don't see eye to eye with one another. Meron pong tatlong takeaway tayo tungkol about seeing eye to eye in the book of Ruth. Unang-una, on the screen. First, what do we do when we don't see eye to eye? Practice genuine appreciation. Yun ang unang-una on the list. Pero why appreciation matters? Kasi po, it is the purest form of one of the two most basic human needs ng mga tao. Apart from being validated. Alam niyo po ba, every individual, whether on a personal level or an organizational level, wants to feel or she or he matter. Di ba, importante, alam mong importante kasi isang opisina. Without genuine support, it is extremely difficult to keep oneself motivated. Pag hindi ka pinapansin sa isang opisina o pag hindi ka pinapansin sa isang relasyon, di ba parang wala kang amor, wala kang masyadong energy. Feeling like you are part of the larger scheme of things pushes yourself to give you the best regarding no matter how difficult yung situation. For example po sa workplace, sabing ganun po, top talents leave employers because they feel yung contributions nila hindi nare-recognize. Kayo po, kung mga employer po kayo. Sabi ganun ng business expert on the screen, people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. Hindi sila umaalis dahil yung trabaho mahirap. Hindi rin sila umaalis basta-basta dahil maliit yung sweldo. Umaalis sila kasi hindi nila kasundo yung boss. How true is this statement? Again, experts in the industry say, people leave because the reasons are far beyond work and workload. Sabi ganun, in teams, the most effective team appreciate one another. Sa worship team po, the most effective, bakit po ganun kagaling ang worship team natin? Kasi they appreciate one another. They complement one another. And ito pong appreciation cannot be more true in the world, also in the sports like basketball. Alam niyo po, give you an example. Si Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, on the screen, tanda na po siya, kabatch po yata namin siya ni Randy ng basketball. Now, si Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is viewed as one of the greatest player of all time. Si Jabbar, 6-time NBA championship winner, is widely viewed as the best center ever. However, despite the winning his first championship in Milwaukee early in his career, si Abdul-Jabbar eventually asked the team for a trade. Alam niyo, kahit ang galing-galing niya, talagang makikita mo yung best niya, eventually naisip niya, gusto niyang lumipat ng team. He wanted to get traded, and a huge reason for that is the fact that the city of Milwaukee wasn't appealing to him. Sabi ito ng sports writer, ito yung sabi about Kareem, the city wasn't right for Kareem. He felt it was too small, too blue-collar, too far from his loved ones. So, question, sige sabihin natin, hindi siya masaya doon sa career niya. Ano ba yung ginawa ng team niya? Alam niyo yung ginawa ng team niya? Nag-offer ng full-time residency para kay Kareem sa New York. In short, binigyan siya, okay, para magstay ka sa amin, bibigyan ka namin ng bahay at lupa in New York for you to stay. Bibigyan ka namin ng travel accommodations, and kung ang dahilan ay yung ating coach si Larry Costello, ang problema, kaya aalis ka, we will fire the coach. Imagine yung talaga, di ba? Name it. But eventually, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar decided to leave Milwaukee. Bakit? Because he felt unappreciated. Now, how does this relate to family or marriage? Sabi ng Harvard Health Organization, shows that couples who show gratitude for their partner, makinig po kayo, mga asawang lalaki, and who express gratitude regularly feel more positively towards their partner. Research have even shown that expressing gratitude releases oxytocin on the screen or yung tinatawag nilang love hormone, which builds a greater connection and bond between two people. Sa palagay nyo, nakakapagpa-release ba kayo ng oxytocin sa asawa nyo? So how do we practice genuine appreciation? Cholesterol. Sino mga diabetic dyan? Cholesterol ba? O, no? No. So how do we practice genuine appreciation? Napakaseryoso niyo po ba? Kasi seryoso po ba ako? No. How do we practice genuine appreciation? Expert like Daniel L. Shapiro, a world-renowned expert in psychology and conflict resolution, sabi niya, meron 3 paraan. Alam niyo, every time na may sinasabi akong subpoints, naalala ko si Nathan eh. Alam mo, Nathan, tuwing gagawa ko ng sermon at, may subpoints ako. Narinig ko na yung sinasabi ni Nathan. Sige, umuwi nga. Sabi ni Daniel Shapiro, may 3 paraan daw para tayo makapag-show ng appreciation. Unang-una, kailangan mo daw sabihin doon sa kausap mo that you want to know their perspective. Pangalawa, sasabihin mo daw, you want to see the merit ng perspective nila. At pangatlo daw, kailangan i-communicate mo. So, hindi mo lang dapat iniisip kasi, alam mo, minsan ganito tayo mga lalaki, di ba? Pag tinanong tayo ng asawa natin, tahimik lang tayo. Pero sa isip natin, nagsasalita tayo eh. Am I correct? Di ba, nag-isip tayo eh. Sabi, tanong na naman yan. Di ba? Although kahit hindi ka nagsasalita, kita sa mukha mo eh. Bakit? Irritable ka, nakasimangot ka eh. Bakit? Hindi wala ka narinig, di ba? Pero sinasabi, that's the most important part. Kung gusto mong i-appreciate yung partner mo, itong 3 bagay na to, kailangan iniisip mo, pinaprocess mo, then kailangan sinabi mo. Kaya nga minsan tatanungin sa iyo ng asawa mo, ano sinabi mo? Wala akong sinasabi. Now, i-test natin yung theory nito tungkol kay Naomi sa kay Ruth, yung conversation nila. In Ruth chapter 1 verse 8, sabi nga nun, Then Naomi said to her daughters-in-law, Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husband and to me. Naka-underline po yung portion na yan. First, tingnan niyo po on the screen. We can see Naomi expressing her appreciation to Ruth. Nung sinabi niya, alam mo, naging mabuti ka sa akin sa kayong mga patay kong anak. Hindi siya drama, totoo siya. So pinakita niya appreciation niya, and to the extent na sinabi niya, sincere yung appreciation niya, sana pagpalain ka ng Diyos kung saan ka man pupunta. Next, Naomi communicated her perspective for sending away Ruth. Yung principle nandun, in Ruth chapter 1, 11 hanggang 13, basahin natin. But Naomi said, ito yung dahilan ko bakit kita pinaalis. Return home, my daughters. Sabi niya, why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons? Who could become your husbands? So wala siyang iyong offer eh. So frustrated siya, pinauwi niya yung dalawa niyang daughter-in-law, not because galit siya, but because tinitignan niya yung best para doon sa dalawa. And she was not just being angry, she was communicating yung merit ng argument. Sabi niya, return home, my daughters, I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight, then gave birth to 2 sons, would you wait until they grew up? Napakaganda po nung argument at napakaganda nung merit nung sinabi ni Naomi. Pero ito yung sagot ni Ruth. Ruth understand Naomi's perspective. Di ba sa pamilya kadalasan yun ang problema? Parents decide, ang old culture was parents decide. Children don't have any part of the decision, am I correct? But nowadays, hindi ganun yung perspective. Somehow, when parents decide and ask our daughters or children para to enforce yung gagawin natin, sasabihin nila sa'yo, hindi niyo po ako tinanong kung gusto ko. Hindi niyo rin ako inas kung interesado ako. Sa mga kurso, to give you an example, sa mga courses ng mga anak natin, before, ang nagdi-decide ng kurso ng mga anak, sino? Magulang. Nowadays, sino nakikisama? 4 na course, hindi pa natatapos. Sino nakikisama? Bakit? Kasi hindi natin i-communicate properly yung perspective. Ruth understand Naomi's perspective. So the merit, and she let her know that regardless of the situation, Ruth was willing to stay by her side. Now, ito in general sense in a family. Pero how do I apply this in marriage? Bakit palaging lalaki, no? Imagine yourself going home from work. You are greeted by your wife, magulo ang buhok, di pa naliligo, at sinabi sa'yo, bakit ngayon ka lang? Alam mo ba sobrang likot ng mga anak mo? Pinagod nila ako, at hindi ko na alam kung ano gagawin ko sa kanila. Anak mo lahat yan. Ano gagawin natin? Step back husband. Medyo bumuelo ka ng konti. Kung may tubig ka, uminom ka muna. Sabihin mo ganito, ang sipag naman ng asawa ko. Pasensya ka na, ang bagal ng andar ng traffic kaya na-late ako. I can only imagine kung paano ka pinagod ng mga bata natin. Pero alam mo, loves pa rin kita kahit hindi ka pa naliligo. Proverbs 12:25 says from the New Living Translation, worry weighs a person down. Pero sinabi, an encouraging word cheers a person up. So, what to do when we don't see eye to eye? Una, practice genuine appreciation. Then second, argue to learn. Argue to learn, hindi po siya bagong concept. In fact, meron siyang 3 konsepto. Palagi ako maraming 3. Idol ko si Pastor Jerry. Okay. May 3 daw siyang concept. Una, ancient. Pangalawa, modern. Then, biblical. Briefly, first, ancient. One day, si Socrates was having a conversation with a sophist named Gorgias on the screen. And si Gorgias, ito yung sinasabi ni Gorgias. Sabi ni Gorgias, ang position ko sa buhay is that I am willing to be refuted or corrected if I have done something or said something wrong. And dinagdag niya to, he is also duty-bound to refute or correct others kung nakikita nilang mali yung ibang tao. So ganun sabi niya yung perspective ni nung Sophie, si Gorgias. Sabi niya, alam mo, walang problema. Kung palagay mo mali ako, mapakorek ako. Pero pag mali ka, iko-correct kita. Pero sabi ni Socrates ganito. On the screen, sabi niya, I prefer to be refuted than to refute, for it is a greater good for oneself to be freed from the greatest evil than to free another. In short, sinasabi niya, mas merong encouragement yung matuto ka kesa yung magturo ka. Now, consider the modern concept of arguing to learn. Ito yung illustration. Consider a couple of friends trying to decide kung saan kakain. Isa sinabi, let's try an Indian restaurant tonight. Sabi niya, I haven't had Indian for months. To which one another replies, you know, I saw the place is getting poor reviews. Let's grab some pizza instead. Sabi ng isa, good to know. Pizza it is, says the first. Ang nakita niyo po na illustration is that each comes with an opinion. Di ba may dala-dala tayong opinion? Saan tayo kakain? Ay, dito tayo kakain. Saan tayo kakain ikaw? Saan gusto mong kumain? Paano kung 7 kayo? So, each comes with an opinion. They began discussion in which presents an argument, then listens to the other argument. And then, they both move towards an agreement. And yung mga ganito na klaseng mga bagay na mga nagaganap, yung dialogue na to, nagiging habit kung hindi ng isang mag-asawa, ng isang pamilya. And it is healthy. Now, psychologists from Yale University, ang tawag po dito is arguing to learn. Hindi yung nagsasalita pa yung isa, sasapawan mo siya para hindi siya makapagsalita. So, ang kailangan daw, pakinggan mo yung sinabi niya, papakinggan ka rin kung ano yung opinion mo, then you decide by arguing to learn. Pero what does the Bible say about arguing to learn? May sinasabi po ba? Sabi ng Matthew chapter 7 verse 3 on the screen from the New Living Translation, and why worry about the speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? Sabi po ng Matthew 7:3, yung text na yan, it provides the best atmosphere for arguing to learn. Bakit po? Kasi sinasabi ni Kristo, to argue to learn, dapat i-condemn mo yung shallow, hypocritical, or selfish criticism of others. So walang personalan. Nag-argue kayo to learn and not to criticize. Sabi ganun, Christ is clear that the right judgment includes distinguishing between good and evil. And ang basis po daw ng tama at mali, or yung good and evil, is according to the immutable truth of the Bible and not by our own standards. Hindi ko pwedeng sabihin kay Grady, alam mo bro, mali ka kasi, alam mo, ito experience ko eh. Hindi yun yung contention. The best contention or argument is that we use the unchanging word, the scripture, para pag-usapan kung ano ba yung tamang decision on the matters. Alam niyo po, habang inaaral ko to, nag-pop sa mind ko, another topic, relativism and immutable truth. Pero alam niyo po, maikli lang yung time na binigay sa aming mga preacher, kaya siguro for another occasion, pwede natin pag-usapan. Ano ba yung mga immutable truths about the Bible? So, first, practice genuine appreciation. Second, argue to learn. Then third, change our metaphor in relating with people. So what do I mean by metaphor? Yung relating metaphor, yung changing our metaphors. Now, when we think about metaphor, ano yung unang-unang naisip nyo? Di ba yung mga metaphor na pinag-aaralan natin sa English? Na ang ibig sabihin daw nun, it is a figure of speech that describes an object or action in a way that isn't literally true. Pero, ito po makakatulong para sa comparison. No? Pero ito po, alam niyo po ba na ang metaphors are not simply confined to the school, pero ang mga metaphors is all around us? Give you an example. We describe money as gold on the screen. Kaya nga pag inausapan natin, we use metaphor. Alam mo, kaya mga tao, napupunan niyo ba yung mga tao? Very peculiar sila about yung oras na darating ka sa usapan. Bakit? Kasi para sa kanila, money is gold eh. Pag late ka, feeling nila, sinasayang mo yung oras niya, sinasayang mo yung pera niya. Kaya we live by metaphors. Or in a more practical sense, metaphors can be related to our motto in real life. In love relationship, ito example. Sabi nga nun, ang pag-ibig ay parang pag-order ng food sa restaurant. Dapat willing to wait ka. Kaya minsan ang metaphor, motto mo eh. Kaya nga minsan when we deal with problems, we deal conflict, patay kung patay. Yun yung motto niya eh. Kaya nga patay pala siya, di ba? Hindi magpapahuli ng buhay. Hindi nga nahuli ng buhay. No, yun yung mga, napunan nyo, metaphors not only happens in textbook, in literature, in poems, but it happens in real life. Now, why metaphors are important? Sabi ng US Berkeley cognitive linguist George Lakoff, sabi niya, ang propose niya is that the way we think about concept is fundamentally metaphorical. In other words, we don't simply talk with metaphors, we think with metaphors. Ganun po daw. Example about thinking and metaphor in life. Tungkol sa buhay naman. Now, on the screen, sabi niya, life is an adventure. Sino ba naniniwala that life is an adventure? Ha? Pananaw niyo, pag weekend, life is an adventure. Work hard, party hard. Kaya nga pag inisip niyo, wow, wala nang pasok na, ano ba pwede natin gawin? Oh, life is an adventure, kaya nga naghahanap ka ng mga, for example, single ka. Ang motto mo in life is an adventure. So, ang hinahanap mong partner, yung adventurous. Di ba? Gusto mo na yung adventurous. And then, nakita mo na yung adventurous na babae na yun. Wow! Ito na yung adventurous na na magiging future wife ko. Tapos pinakasalan mo ngayon yung adventurous na yan, na babae na yan. Pero pag after 1 year, nakasal na kayo, nagbago na naman yung metaphor mo. Ang metaphor mo on the screen, life is a courtroom. Palagi na lang may nagtatanong. Then after 5 years, ito mas malala, after 5 years, nagbago na naman yung metaphor mo. Ang metaphor mo na ngayon, life is a prison. Gusto ko na makawala. Hindi ko babanggitin yung tumatawa, baka sabihin kasi bias tayo bro, baka ikaw yun ha. Alam nyo, padami ang nag-google ng question, when or how to break up. To explain more, there's a word that describes breakup as a behavior at ang tawag doon quiet quitting. Familiar po ba kayo sa word na yon? Now, quiet quitting refers to those who don't want to have the breakup conversation and instead are going through the motions without any real motivation to make the relationship last. Ayan na yung kanan mo. Kape? Kumuha ka. Ayan ganun, no? No? Sabi ni Leah Lababilino, a New York City-based psychotherapist, sabi niya ganun, they want to express with their behavior what they can't with their words. Ito pinaka-paborito ko. Sabi ni Carrie White. Sabi ni Karen White, sabi niya, I am not a superwoman. Kantayin nga natin yan. Sabi niya, ni-request eh. Kantayin mo, yung video version, ilabas na play nga natin. Kakantayin natin, no? Sabi kasi, handa ako eh. To the women that feel quite quitting. Kantayin po natin yung song.
Early in the morning, I put breakfast at your table.
Sa mga husband na walang konsensya.
Your coffee has its sugar and cream. Your eggs are over easy. You're just unlike me. All that's missing is your morning kiss that used to greet me. Now you see the juicy sour. It used to be so sweet, and I can't help but
Konti na lang po, ah.
wonder if you're talking about me. We don't talk the way we used to talk. It's hurting so deep. I've got my pride. I will not cry, but it's making me weak.
And together, let's sing that part. Di ba? Sige, pause nyo na. Medyo pakatawagin natin yung worship team eh. Okay na. Mati na. Meron na bang sinapak na lalaki? Uy! Pumunta ka muna sa first aid. Mukhang sinapak ka ng asawa mo. Oh. Quiet quitting. It happens all the time. Not only in marriage, in work, pero in a lot of places. Pero tanong, what are the warning signs? Unang-una daw warning signs ng quiet quitting is they stop advocating for their needs. Hindi na humingi sa'yo ng pera. Yung sa Shopee, bigyan mo ng Gcash, hindi na humingi ng Gcash, gumagawa ng paraan, hindi na humingi sa'yo. No? Telling your partner what you need either emotionally or physically can create conflict. But it also means you care. Says a relationship expert. Yun yung first warning sign. Second warning sign, they are unwilling to own their anger. Instead of having the right conversation, your partner might act out of character. Yung mga bagay na nai-enjoy nila before, cooking dinner for you, inviting you on dates, tumitigil na. No? Sabi ng relationship expert, their action is not meant to dismiss the other person. Hindi yun yung purpose. But really, they are feeling bad about their own needs not being met. So, if you feel like your partner is disengaging in some way, ito daw yung dapat nyo gawin. Tell them what you notice and be specific, only facts. Not judgment, but only facts. Sabi ng Proverbs 12:18, the words of the reckless pierce like a sword. Bakit ka na nagluluto? Han, gusto mo kumain tayo sa labas? Na kasi LPG sa labas na, bumili na lang tayo sa karinderyahan. Wala na tayong budget, next month na lang. But the tongue of the wise brings healing. For example, wag na ako mag-example. Alam mo na po na kung palaging mainit ang ulo mo. Ito, ginagawa ko sa asawa ko sa umaga eh. Kasi sa gabi mainit ulo eh. Habang nagtitimpla siya ng kape, iyakapin ko siya sa likod. Tapos sabihin ko sa kanya, alam mo ma, sabi ni Pastor Jerry, di daw kita mahal. Mahal naman talaga kita. Yeah, no? Bakit ang bilis uminit ang ulo mo? Meron ba akong nagawa? Or may gusto ka ba? May gusto ka bang bilhin? Yan, no? Ha? Gusto mo kumain tayo sa labas? He's expressing, here's the common problem kasi na I think everybody experiences. Huwag na lang natin pag-usapan, it complicates things eh. Ayoko ng away. Pagod na ako. Church, si Ruth hindi naging ganun yung approach niya. Si Ruth didn't quit her relationship with her mother-in-law. Kaya nung sinabi ng mother-in-law, alam mo, umalis ka na, wala ka nang pag-asa sa akin. Eh. Hindi. Instead of quitting, nakita niya pa rin tong opportunity that presented itself at sinabi niya, in Ruth chapter 16 verse 17 hanggang 17, your people will be my people and your God will be my God. Where you will die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Let me give this closing statement to summarize yung sermon natin. So what do we do when we don't see eye to eye? Step back, take a deep breath, isipin nyo yung lahat ng ginawa niyang mabuti sa inyo. Nung girlfriend mo pa siya, huwag yung mag-asawa na kabisawan niya, no? Then practice appreciation. Second, argue better by learning. Make it a habit. Then third, change our metaphors at sabihin nyo sa kanya, alam mo, Ma, ikaw yung aking greatest adventure.